Material for the brain. Conversations for thinking bodies. In this show, together with our guests, we explore different ways in which we can develop a meaningful relationship with our bodies and minds and respond to the current state of the culture in a quest for more integrated and embodied perspectives. Hello and welcome to Material for the Brain podcast. This is Matan Levkovich. Today is the last episode for 2024. And before we start, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who tuned into the podcast and paid attention to the work that I'm doing here. I really appreciate it. We've definitely seen a growth in the amount of listeners, and it's really exciting and motivates me to continue producing more episodes. It's also an opportunity to encourage those of you who enjoyed this podcast during the last year to consider supporting the podcast. And one of the easiest ways you can support the podcast is simply by sharing it with your friends, whether it will be in private or via social media. Maybe consider to make a post about the podcast and share it with your friends. Of course, if you are willing to support more, we also established a support page for the podcast where you can do a one-time contribution or a continuous contribution, and that will for sure help me to be able to dedicate more time to keep producing high-quality content for you. You can find the support page on our website at movementlab.eu/mftb-support. I will leave it in the show notes so that you can access it in case you would like to contribute. Okay, my guest for today is Zuna Vesan Kozánková. Zuna is a dancer, choreographer, and a writer, and a leading authority on traditional Chinese medicine in Slovakia and the Czech Republic. Over the last 30 years, Zuna has developed a unique approach to working with the human body, combining anatomical understanding with the energy system flowing within it. Through her studies of Chinese medicine and Qigong, she seamlessly connects her extensive dance knowledge with the universal principle of Taoism. She is an author of several books, including her latest, The Tao of Movement, Chinese Medicine Principles for Movers. I invited Zuna to the show to discuss her latest book, which encapsulates her life works on the application of traditional Chinese medicine in dance and in other movement-related professions. In our conversation, we explore the Taoist perspective on health, the physical, energetic, and conscious bodies, the role of energy in movement, strategies for health prevention, the influence of nutrition and seasonal changes on well-being, reconnecting with nature's cycle, changing mental habits, and much more. And now, I bring you Zuna Vesan Kozánková. Hello, dear Zuna. Welcome to my show. How are you, my friend?
Hi, Matan. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very looking forward to this discussion. And how are you?
I'm very good. It's been many years since I met you. I think a decade ago, I graduated from SEED, where I had the pleasure to study with you. I think in all my 3 years in SEED, I had the chance to study with you.
Yes.
And you were always a very remarkable and memorable teacher for me. Beside your great qualities as a dancer and as a teacher, I always remember you bringing topics that were not that, let's say, intuitive, and they were not part of the obvious curriculum. And one of them was related to health, diet, nutrition, and already back then from Chinese medicine perspective. And that's kind of the occasion why we are meeting today. And maybe before we start, just kind of to catch up a little bit. So where do I catch you right now in your life? What are you busy with?
Yes. Well, after you graduated SEED, also myself, I left from SEED because of many years working there. I need a break. And the life changed completely because me with my husband and with our daughter, we moved to the mountains. We completely left city and moved to the mountains, where we built a house and with small studio. And we wanted to be there in the nature and work there. So it was quite hard time because of the construction and change and so. But on the other side, it was very intense because being so deeply in the nature could open very deep perspective of life, of using body itself, and all the things what I've learned before about Taoism, Chinese medicine, and so on, about health, whatever health issues, I could there in the mountains really absorb, and on the other side also apply into my life. So I was in the mountains, but also I was traveling a lot to the cities and leading workshops. So I was connected with people, of course, but the strength of the nature, I feel, changed myself a lot. So many things what I did before I can't do now anymore, and many things I can realize now. I can do now. Like for example, being very deep in Qigong and Tai Chi world.
So these are things that have been opened up since you moved to the mountains. And when we say mountains, we are talking about still in the Slovakian mountains, no?
We moved to Czech Republic.
Czech Republic.
Slovakia and Czech, we are brothers forever. And we moved to the Czech mountains because we fell in love in these mountains. These are Eagle Mountains in the east-north part of Czech Republic. We used to do their summer dance workshops for many years. Maybe 30 years ago, we started the first camp. So we fell in love in this area, and we moved there. Yeah.
And what are the things that kind of got limited for you, that you say, okay, some things open up, like a deeper practice of Qigong, but what are the things that you feel like that you had to leave behind with this choice of moving to the mountains?
Yeah. Maybe it is not dependent on mountains, like only on mountains, but also COVID just broke my fluid connection to schools and to festivals. So after COVID, I somehow couldn't join the flow as before, because during the COVID it was closed. Yeah. And because of my age, now I don't have so much energy to promote myself and to ask and to push myself to whatever institutions. So I am more like self-observer, and I can say that I am not so much connected with dance anymore. But I am very much connected with Qigong, which is, from my point of view, dance as well. But different people are around me now than before. But some dancers from the past are also interested in Qigong. So some part of my dancing past is still working, but very small part. And the rest is more about this applying the Taoist philosophy in life through movement of the body. So the body and the movement of the body is still here with me, but the teaching and the performing not so much.
Maybe just a quick question before we kind of because I do want to give you some time to introduce yourself more properly, but just a quick question. Because my since I graduated, my relation to dance has always changed and shifted, and it seems from what I'm understanding that it's also in your case. But But do you think that there is something that you would say like a certain dance perspective that is still in you, or do you really feel that like the center of how you approach things has really also shifted to what you say, like the Taoist philosophy and the Taoist perspective, or there is something that you would still recognize, this is still related to my years engaging in that profession, in that field that is still very much in you? Because I feel that, like, I'll just give you a quick example. COVID made me getting interested in photography. Long story, doesn't really matter. But while I took portraits of clients, I recognized, wow, my background as a choreographer is so present. I see it through that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that, like, I could say, okay, it's, so that's what I'm kind of aiming to understand with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, last 10 years, this is the reason of the mountain influence. I was a lot of writing the books. So I wrote 6 books, and so sitting behind computer and typing, and yes, but well, it's completely different world writing books compared with dance. But when I was writing the books, for me it was like choreography. So I could use the same creative principles in writing than in choreography. So and people like my books because there is a special flow of the words. There is poetry. Well, like no poetry itself, but it's poetic. But in the same time, a lot of facts are in the books, but in the poetic way. So people also, the readers also feel like the books are dancey. Yeah. So this is what I feel. It's really true that I could not move because I had to type. Yeah, but but the mind was dancing and creating choreographies, and also I could use the dramaturgy for writing, the same dramaturgy as I was using for creating performances. So yeah, maybe this is the answer.
That's a very interesting perspective. Let's see if we can expand on it, because it will be a nice added value. But maybe before we dive into the main chapter, which is to talk about your new book, The Tao of Movement, Chinese Medicine Principle for Mover. I have it here and I've been diving into it. It's a very beautiful book. And maybe you can take a bit of time to give the audience who maybe don't know you a short introduction to your story and what brought you to live and do what you do right now.
Okay. Well, so I try to do it short.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I finished dance conservatory. I studied ballet. Yeah, but I never wanted to be a ballerina. I just wanted to be a dancer and to express myself by movement and very water-wise movement. Yeah, water kind movement, which ballet is not. Yeah, so after the conservatory, I started to study dance academy or Academy of Performing Arts in Slovakia, in Bratislava, which was already better because we could touch the approaches like body mind centering, Alexander technique, and contemporary techniques, which are already more about the body itself, not just about some aesthetics. So, and during study at this academy, the borders, well, we were living in communistic country, yeah. So as soon as the borders opened, we went to Vienna and we spent all our saved money to take workshops and to meet the dance world. And so we met a lot of interesting teachers like Frey Faust or Andrew Harwood, or yeah, it was really great. And then also we took part on the dance web. for many years, then me and Milan, my husband, we were also assistants to some teachers. So it was very intensive time. And I was always very systematic and methodic, yeah. And I always wanted to create not some technique, not at all, but I wanted to have my expression, to have it in some frame, which would be very elastic, but frame. Understand?
Yeah.
So I started to teach, and because my soul is very nomadic, I couldn't stay in one institution. So I was traveling a lot and teaching in many schools, many groups. And because I had some during the conservatory, I had some not very nice injuries. So I started to be interested in body recovery, and that's why I started to be interested in health issues. Yeah. So my way of teaching dance, which was mostly about learning how to move healthy, accepting the body anatomy. Yeah. So I started to connect with health issues. For example, how to use the legs for not destroying the knees. Yeah. So anatomical things were very important to me. And later on, because of my study of shiatsu and Chinese medicine, I realized that also there is another aspect, not only physical aspect of the body, dancing body, but also energetical aspect, and these two bodies, physical body and energetical body, should cooperate in very harmonic way. So I started to, this was kind of research when I was maybe 25 years old. I started I asked my dance friends if we can research. So we experiment with meridians, the energetic pathways of the body, and we improvised with the principles of the meridians, and we were looking for health impacts, but also creative impacts. Yeah. So I don't know if you understand what I mean, but some whatever energetical pathway in our body, which is not visible because it is energy, we can see it only in some books, but we can feel the pathways. We can feel how the energy is flowing through the pathway, and when we learn the pathway, and when we learn the quality of the energy in the pathway, it can completely change our movement expression. So this was my long year research, how this kind of study can enrich dance itself. Yeah, because on contemporary technique, we just do something, we try to do it the best physically. When we perform, we try to do it the best emotionally, yes, as well. But energetically, I didn't find any teacher who does this, yeah, to connect it with the energetical body. So for me, it was a big fascination. That's why also I studied Chinese medicine. I finished graduated on one Chinese branch of a school of acupuncture. And always I combined the Chinese medicine with dance.
Yes. Great. It's a interesting journey.
Yes, long one.
Long one, yeah. No, and I think it's for me, that's already this kind of ability to travel from different working environment and different influences. It's already for me somehow connected to the spirit of dance. Maybe we can start by kind of maybe explaining some terms, or like just to have a proper understanding, because maybe you can elaborate on what you mean by the energetical body, and maybe you can outline from the perspective that you're working with the body, what other types of bodies there are, because you mentioned the physical body and the energetical body, and are there any other bodies that that you relate to?
Yes, it depends on what concept you work with. Yeah, so there could be different approaches and different amount of bodies. Let's say it like this. Yeah, but from Chinese medicine or Taoistic point of view, we have 3 basic bodies. We have more, but the basic are 3, which is the physical, energetical, and then mental or conscious body. Yeah, and these 3 bodies should be. Well, here is a big potential to work with all 3 bodies equally in a normal life, in whatever practice, in whatever physical practice, and also whatever mental practice. And the physical body is something which we, of course, see. It is really material. It's something we can touch. We can physically change, transform from fat, for example, to slim, yeah, or from not elastic to elastic, yeah. So we know, and dancers mostly use this physical body because we can see that this kind of body.
This is the empirical body that Western science keep examining.
Yes. And then there is another body, which is energetical body, which we cannot see, but without energy, the physical body can't move. Yeah. So the physical body without energy is just there, and it's just there. Yeah. It's the energy which is moving the body. Yeah. So energy is the motor for moving, for lifting. Yeah. So we say, okay, so I should contract some muscle, and that's why I lift my arm. But what is the contraction of the muscles? It's the energy. Yeah. And the energy should come from somewhere and should be in the body somewhere. Yeah. So there is a concept of energetical centers in our body, which are like the main energetical centers are on our central line. We have lower, middle, and upper. And then I explain it very simply way. Yeah. And then
you can also explain it more in details if you want, because we have time. So as you wish.
Well, and this, okay, I go back to these energetical centers on our middle line. They are, of course, they are connected. They cooperate together, and they connect the physical part of our body with our emotion and interaction with the space around us. So I feel somebody is here. I talk to you. Yeah. So this center is communicating with you, but also is I feel you through this center, and this center is giving information to my lower center. Yeah, and that's why my physical body reacts somehow. And then the upper center is Western word. We call it in this Chinese context, we call it Tantian. And the upper Tantian is more connected to spiritual affairs and to our consciousness. Yeah. So and it is like the base for spiritual body. So physical body has borders, so we can see the borders. Energetical body is bigger than physical body, and the conscious body of the consciousness is even bigger and can be really bigger, big, depends on the level of consciousness of the specific person. Yeah. And all these three bodies should cooperate. Like, for example, when you watch some performance, you see physical body doing some things, some dancing forms. But this is not enough. When you watch dancer only technically perfect, then it's okay. It's a master of technique, but you feel like there is missing something. Yeah. So if a dancer has the physical body connected with the energetical body, you as a spectator, you can see while watching performance, you can see there is something more. There are emotions. There is, and the highest level is when the dancer is spiritual, not a bit, spiritual. It has some connection to the spirituality. Then you can, of course, see it. Yeah,
Yes.
Understand?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's when I say of course, because I have my own words on what you're saying, but I want to kind of maybe try to dig a bit to differentiate, because I'm not working normally in this framework that you're describing, but the word energetic body means for me something.
Okay.
And when I'm hearing you, it almost sounds for me like as if the energetical body is an equivalent to the word life or life force. As if like, okay, because when somebody is dead, their physical body is there, but whatever made them be alive and operate is gone. And is it a good understanding or to what you mean?
Yes. When a physical body dies, then the energetical and the third body, the body of the spirit or body of the consciousness, leave. They leave the physical body. Yeah. So they are not connected anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then okay. So I feel, and for the third one, and this is maybe a little bit. I mean, okay, I understand what you mean by when you say the word consciousness, and I have my own experiences with exploring my consciousness in dance and also with other in other mediums, where I think, of course, this is maybe one of the biggest mysteries. No, like what is it, consciousness, and where do we go? But when you said that it's larger, for me, it resonates with the notion that and maybe that's also related to the tradition you're working within. It's connected to the notion that on a level of consciousness, there is a place where things are connected. So despite the fact that we physically apart, there is a certain area of expansion that we can see that there is no boundaries between us. No, would be something that you would also correlate with that understanding?
Yes. And in this third center, which is connected with the third body, well, when we go back to the physical body and the physical needs of a person, can be dancer or whoever, there is something very much also connected to the earth and to the material part of our life. Yeah, so we need eat, we need sleep, we need money for buying this and this. We need take care of our physical body because we need it for dancing. Yeah, but this physical body is also connected with our ego. Yeah, so our ego is somehow too much connected to the material, to the physical part of our existence, and has got a lot of wishes, like I want to be the great dancer, I want to be better than she or he is, I need to do this or this. The ego is like leading us to only to the physical usage of the body and of transforming our wishes to reality. Yeah. And many times the ego help us to really work on ourselves. That's true. Yeah. So thanks to ego, we really work and improve. Yeah. But many times the ego creates boundaries which don't allow us to be more free. Because when the ego tells you all the time you should be the best, then you are disconnected with the freedom, for example. Yeah. So the third center is more connected with the space, which is free, which has no demands, which has no wishes. So then your work is not like I have to do it because I have to do it because of I want to be the best. But when we use more the spiritual aspect, then we just dance. You know what I mean? We have pleasure from it, and we are just dance is in us, and we are dance. There is not a mental thinking and mental constructs which many times don't allow us to be free in what we do. Understand?
Yeah. I understand, and I also resonate very much. I mean, for me, that's. I mean, I like to use the kind of the poetic word of spirit. For me, the spirit of dance is manifested fully when I become dance, and not when I am dancing.
Yes.
So that's kind of my terminology.
That's it.
And kind of another question, when we talk about the energetical body, and within the framework that I work, I use a lot the term somatic state, a state in which I'm really centering my whole attention around the manifestation of sensations in my body. And then through that experience, I can start dissolving this sense of self on the level of identity and persona, blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of sensing different things that are emerging in this landscape of body-mind. But is this what you mean when you say to feel the energy in the body? Are you referring to actually body signals that could be described as body sensation that have certain quality, which is kind of also what we could sense when we sit and do Vipassana meditation, or is it something else?
Well, when we talk about energy, it has two main ways. One is that you feel you are tired, you don't have energy. Yeah, so it's like this. I don't have energy, or I have energy.
Okay.
But this is just a very slim point of view. Yeah, the energy in the body is more complex. It is connected to these centers, but also it is connected to energetical pathways. So we have through the whole body. You can imagine them like veins where the blood flows, but almost the same pathways we have for the energy flow. And the energy in our body is not something abstract, but can be condensed, and the condensation of energy creates organs and body itself. It's like, for example, in my muscles, yes, I have flesh there, I have blood there, but all these physical parts, it is condensed energy. Yeah. So that's why the the energy, the physical body, it very depends on energy, because if the energy is weak, then the physical body is weak as well. And inputs for the energy could be, for example, food. Yeah. When the food is weak, then the energy which is flowing through the body is weak, and the physical structures are weak as well. Yeah. So
Could you, Zuna, I just want to focus you because of my specific curiosity. Maybe you can really try to describe to me, just that I see that if I could resonate on the level of experience, from a phenomenological point of view, what do you mean when you say to experience the flow of energy? What does it translate on a level of experience? What would you mean by that?
okay.
If it's possible, because I know these things are hard to pinpoint with linguistics, but just maybe we can try.
Okay. So when I was younger and I was moving and dancing like crazy, I could feel my body and good feeling from it, yes. And then later on, when I started to work with Qigong or Tai Chi, and I was doing very slow movements, then suddenly I could feel that something it's inside moving, and it is not blood, it is not, I don't know, drop of sweat, yeah. But I could feel that something is moving in my inside, and I was not aware what is it, but I could feel it. Or for example, very like basic exercise in Qigong is creating a ball, this very simple movement of the hands. And after a while, you can feel resistance between the palms. Yeah, so you do
an
this
expansion when you open, no?
Expansion when they go to close to each other, you feel like there is a ball,
like you're condensing something.
Yes, and well, should be something between the hands, but you can't see it. So it's the energy, and this kind of energy you can also feel in the body. So we can do it in the area of lower Tantian, in the lower center, and nourishing the physical structures by this condensation of the qi. Well, basically, in our normal life, every person has got 100% of energetical potential. Yeah, but because of we think a lot, we are always attracted by promotions, by things on Facebook. We are always watching outside. We are losing the energy because it's just dissolving. Yeah. So we should learn how to take it back and how to create a house or storage house for the energy inside of the body. Yeah.
Okay.
And while researching or working with my friends, dancing friends in the past with meridians, I mentioned before, first we were watching the pictures of the meridians, and then we tried to move the same way as the energy in the meridians flows. And later we started to feel some movement in the meridians during dancing improvisation. Yes, like for example, one meridian, the beginning of one meridian of heart is here, and then it goes to the little finger. Yeah. And when you dive into the energetical system, then you can use the energy itself to lift your arm. So rather than use muscles for lifting the arm. Yeah, so you can really, when you touch the source of the energy here, then the energy will lift the arm without, and the muscles and the bones and tendons will just follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have something on a level of experience that I can compare and say, yeah, I have that experience. First, yeah, I don't. When I started dancing, before I came to SID, on the first week that I joined a dance school, I also found a Kung Fu teacher. And then I had this kind of parallel lines of studying Chinese Kung Fu and doing dance. And then later I kept on, eventually I dropped the practice of martial art. I felt back then that it's a little bit conflicting with my dance, even though now I could see a lot of more similarities than back then. And also my mother-in-law, she was practicing Qigong, and she took me one time to her teacher, and I got introduced to a series of exercise coming from the 5 elements.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I still have this routine. It's like, I don't know how many years, but I still have this routine. And I often do things that are related to that in the studio with my student. But I did feel in the last few years that something on the energetical body is open. So I could stand and just you stand in a normal stance, your hands are down, and you focus on sensing, and the arms just float up as if being carried by a force, and it's very different if I just talk to you now and I just lift my arm and I feel my muscle contract. So it really feels, as you said, like effortless. And I can assume that that's maybe what we are talking about. It's kind of a similar thing, no?
Yes, exactly. And it's very, I think, for me, it is very, can enrich dance world, this using the energetical impulses and this kind of what you just described. It can enrich the dancer's expression.
No, for sure. I mean, I have, there is okay, maybe we take one step backwards to kind of, when you say health, what do you mean?
Health?
Health, because
health.
Let's start exploring this kind of Taoist perspective and talk and like, okay, because you mentioned, okay, my impulse was, okay, and I also read in the book, experiencing some injuries and recognizing, okay, I'm working with the body, but I have no idea what is this body. And then, it started to propel you into this direction. So what do you understand when you say the word like, health, what are you covering with that word? Like which areas in your life are affected, and what are the,
Yes. Basically we start to be interested in health when we have problems with health. Yeah. And thanks to this my fascination and the study of the Taoistic Chinese medicine principles, I realized that health is prevention mostly, like the prevent to prepare the body and prevent the body from the body problems, whatever healthy problems. Yes, so I am not interested in health when I feel I am already sick or my leg is painful, but I am fascinated by preventing. Yeah, what can we do? Of course, we never will be absolutely healthy and harmonic. Yeah, but what can we do to avoid problems with body health as well as mental health? Yeah. So for me, health means being happy with what I do, being happy with relationship, being interested in what I eat, being interested in how I sleep and spend my free time. Everything is for me health. Yeah, not only concrete health problem which should be solved like this. That is also why, thanks to my studies, I realized that other body tissues which we use while dancing, like, for example, muscles, tendons, bones, joints, yeah, they are not separated from organ system. Yeah. So if a dancer would like to have healthy joints, the dancer should know how to nourish them and how to take care of the kidneys. Yeah, because kidneys, from the Chinese medicine point of view, kidneys are responsible for the state of and condition of the bones and cartilage and bones, joints themselves. Yeah. So when we prevent our kidneys by food, by sleeping enough, by mental approaches, then also the joints will benefit from this. The same with tendons. Yeah. If we want to have elastic but also strong and in the same time elastic tendons, when we want to prevent tendon injury, we should take care first on liver, because liver, the organ here, is responsible for nourishing tendons and ligaments. So the organ system, from my point of view, is for me is fundamental for every mover. So for me, I mean, every mover should know the organ system. It doesn't have to be very detailed, but should be aware of, okay, I have some problems with tendons, so I should take care of my liver. If I want to prevent my tendons, I should take care of the liver. So that is why I wrote this book, because I wanted to just share my well, these are not my information, not at all, but I wanted to share the ancient information about preventing the health for dancers, because we really exhaust our body. Yeah. And many times we don't know how to help our body.
Yeah, first I really love this shift, and just for the record, my wife, she's a doctor, she's a dentist, she comes from a family of doctors, but at the same time, her mother was always more involved with alternative medicine. She also comes from a background of pharmacological background, but she very early got into alternative medicine with Reiki, and then later, I don't know, she's doing something, she's healing with Jewish angels. I'm not really sure what she's doing, but she helped me very often. So my wife is kind of a product of these two perspectives of around health, which one is super empirical, peer review, like evidence-based, and one is like very much connected to experience and result result-oriented, let's say, that is not... and I really like this shift between like... that dealing with health the main focus should be on a level of prevention and not on the level of dealing with symptoms. And I think that this is something that I find, despite my admiration for, the ability of Western medicine to solve catastrophes, because again, if I would have a car accident, I'm happy to go to an orthoped that will stitch me and put my bones together. But I feel that like it's not only insufficient, but sometimes it's even exacerbate the problem. This disembodied perspective, as if the body is an object that needs to be treated symptomatically. So maybe you can kind of start guiding us a little bit into your world when you talk about health and these different perspectives. So first question is like in you, because you mentioned that you really like to systematize things, and I'm sure that I'm reading your book and I already see the systemical approach, but it will be nice to explore it further. Is there any hierarchy of importance that you would say, like, look, that's something that is really, really affecting health. This is important, but less, and this is kind of the least amount of concern because you mentioned sleep, you mentioned emotional well-being, you mentioned food, you mentioned movement habits, you mentioned connection to other people, environment. I live in the mountain, I live in the city. Like, how do you make sense of all these different factors when it comes to, okay, I wanna prevent any catastrophe in my body, what should I start focusing on? Because, there's so many things to focus, but we are limited, no? If you enjoyed the conversation so far and found it meaningful, please consider to share the episode with others and to click the like button. These small actions might seem meaningless, but they are the fuel that helps the podcast project to move forward. Your attention and time is highly valued, and we would love to hear more about the insights you might have from listening to this episode. And please consider to subscribe to the channel to be notified for all future uploads.
Yes. Well, the answer is very, it's very hard for me to answer because the hierarchy is always tricky. Yeah, I don't want to put something on the first level and the rest. But
so maybe you have another approach instead of like a rigid top-down hierarchy. Maybe there's, I don't know, maybe you can share just how do you manage it in your own life?
Yes. For me myself was like first important thing, like the most important thing for myself, and I was that I realized my own possibilities and my own borders. Yeah, because many times we want to be somebody else that we really are. Yeah, so my possibilities are this. The range of my possibilities is like this. It's not like this. Compare it to other persons. Yeah, so the comparison is very, from my point of view, the comparison with the other persons is very destructive. Yeah. So when I stopped compare myself with somebody else and I could see my own potential with some frame, I couldn't go farther, then it gave me a lot of freedom and possibilities. Like, for example, I know that my kidneys are not so strong. Yeah. So I just should accept this. Yeah, my kidneys are not so strong. The the energy of my kidneys is weak genetically, and and also because of I was dancing like crazy many years, and that's why I really spent a lot of energy from my kidneys. So and as I realized this, I could see the rest of my life with the real abilities, real possibilities of my kidneys. So I know that I cannot do this anymore because this could kill me. Yes, I should sleep more because otherwise I am really dead. Yeah. So I wanted to say by this long speech that first of all, it is important to know yourself, to know your possibilities, to know your impossibilities. Yeah. And then you can build the house. Like, for example, you want to build a house, you have just one piece of wood, you have one or two bridges. So the wood will be very simple. If you have more material, then you can build a bigger house. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that the simple wood is bad, or not enough, So, and when you know when you know your organic system and you know this is working good, this organ is working less, this is okay, this is weak, then you can create the life which fit to the concrete and real possibilities, which is very for me it is like a freedom. Yeah, I know what I can and I also know what I cannot. And well, this is like for me the top, and then the rest is to really know what organs or which organs are connected to which body tissue. like, for example, muscles, bones, joints, skin, hair. Yeah. So when we know how these body tissues are connected to our organs, we can help them a lot by food, by special exercises. Yeah. And then the body will be more prepared or more healthy for dance profession or whatever moving profession. Yeah. Yes, and then the also very important thing is our mental state, like the way of thinking, which I really like this topic because the way of thinking we can change. I cannot change the form of my legs, for example. Yeah, the architecture of my legs, it is quite hard to change. Yeah, I cannot elongate my thigh bone because it is made like this. But I can change my mental tendencies by my decisions. Like I know that some my mental tendencies are destructive for me, so I should work on them and changing them to constructive. Yeah. So this is very important part of our health, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I have some follow-up question, and just kind of because we haven't conversed very often, so just to let you know, I'm not, everything that I'm asking is not out of like, you know, to debate, is really to expand further, because I hear things and then it makes me question how it could be applied in my life. So first of all, when you started with knowing, you know, your boundaries and your capabilities, which I think is a great perspective about health, because obviously if something is beyond your boundary and you keep on attempting it, it's probably you're gonna run into some problems. But there is a certain maybe paradox or a problem to solve, which is, how do I know how do I know that what I know is real? In the sense that very often, you know, like, many people could have like I didn't meet many people who were really good in estimating themselves. I meet many people who overestimate their capacities or underestimate their capacities. And I even heard some psychologists that I followed his work, that he say like that we are so far from knowing what actually is good for us, so that it's almost inevitable that if we follow our intuition, we're gonna run into a wall. And then like what? And on the other hand, you could outsource it. You know, you go to your doctor, or to maybe your traditional Chinese medicine doctor, and you outsource them to tell you what. But then, you know, they have their own bias. They don't know you. They are not. You know. So how do you solve first this really fundamental thing, or like maybe not solve, because that's a good word. It's a strong word. But how to grapple with this tension that sometimes I could limit myself just because of a perspective. You know, I met many students who felt like, I'm too heavy enough to do that. And then it's like, no, you're not heavy enough. It's just an idea you have about yourself that you should be able to move aside. And if they would really say like, yeah, that's my boundary, I'm too heavy, then I don't do it. And then they might actually limit their potential. So how do you deal with the fact that we have maybe even a distorted perspective about our own boundaries, and what would be a way to address it?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that we never will be perfect and never will be 100% balanced and in harmonically floating through the light. This is, if this happened, then it's not life anymore. Yeah, it's like concept. But the life is about trying and doing mistakes, and then trying something else and having success, then trying something else and again drop down. Yeah, the life is always like this. But about the knowing what is really good for me and what are my boundaries, and if this is really true, to this level, I would like to add the third transient, the spiritual part of our bodies, of ourselves, sorry, which is very much connected to universal consciousness, which I touch this through meditation. Yeah. And thanks to meditation, I can be more connected with myself, with my real needs, because now we live in a time where we can have everything, we can read everything, we can see everything. Many things are around us, many information, many data around us, and it's really hard to choose the best for us and to know this is best for us. Next day you read some other information. Then the day after you read another information. So it's like yeah. But we should know that all this is out of us. It's around. It's our exterior. Informations are important, of course, but they are out of us. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, of course, yeah.
It's something from outside. Yeah. Our body and our mind are so clever that they know themselves what is the best for my body knows what is the best for it. My mind knows what is the best for it. Yeah. So thanks to meditation and the spiritual practice, I can touch my real needs. I can ask my own body and my own mind what are my real needs. Do you understand? So
Yeah,
if I only take the information from outside, so there is no end of the information. Yeah, and can be really huge. But when I do more introspection through the meditation, then I can find the essence of my body, and the body will tell it
yes. Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I understand it, but it does sound, and I have my fair bit of experience with meditation. I don't know if it correlates to the Taoist tradition. I've done mainly Vipassana meditation, which is Buddhist meditation.
Yes.
And it sounds for me a little bit deterministic in the sense that, okay, if you go inside, you get the answers. But also some people go inside and the answers they get is that they become, I don't know, monsters. So, because if it's that, like it almost sounds like it has to include also, it also embeds a certain morality almost, like because if it's not anchored in morality, so whatever I feel that is good for me, then I go for it. And if what is good for me now is, I don't know, I'm interested in bullying somebody because I feel good about it, then why wouldn't I do it? But then if we believe that, hey, it cannot be that bullying somebody else is good for you, then it means that if we go inside, we also meet a certain morality that is universal. And that's something that I'm very interested in, and I do believe that there is a certain moral universal principle that we can go. But let's say in the cultural climate that we live, that's a question, that perspective is already for many people problematic. And yes, you are like you're trying to create a certain superiority or a hierarchy, or how do you resonate with these thoughts of mine?
Well, it is not easy. Yeah. And to be alone with this, it's even worse. So when I started with this way of taking care of myself, because I take my meditation as a part of taking care of myself. I used to join groups, and I had a teacher of meditation or the guru or whatever, who could help me in this process. Because when I tried to do it by myself, I was lost. Many years I was lost. Yes. And then I should find somebody who can help me and to be in the within the people, and to also to have discussions with them about the problems in this process. And later on, maybe after 10 years, I can do it by myself. Yeah. But I am not master of it. Yeah. But I feel a big potential for myself in this care of myself. Yeah. So I wanted to say that it is really long process, but very, very nice and very like this. The process is like this.
Yeah, I have the feeling that it's a little bit like, it's there are no shortcuts, and you can take the greatest meditation teacher in the world and you throw a bunch of 20 years old, and they will just mess up most of the stuff, and then they just need the time, and the time will enable wisdom to develop, and like it's and I think that it's also not surprised that many people that are, let's say, that with age, I didn't meet a lot of 20 years old who've been writing books about how to connect to inner health, because at that age you think I can do everything, you just go, you don't really care so much. But I want to go back to the second thing that you said before that was really, really curious for me, and and you said about changing the way you think. And I'll tell you why I'm bringing this question, because many years ago, my father was diagnosed with diabetes, and it was diabetes, the type of diabetes that your cells stop absorb insulin. It's not that you don't produce the insulin, but you have lower ability to absorb the insulin, and he was very surprised because he's a farmer, super physical, always in the, a lot of time in the sun, very connected to nature, to the body, and it was a bit of a shock for him. And then out of the blue, he chose some kind of a new diet that is called the natural hygiene. And basically for a few months, he almost ate nothing. And then he slowly started to introduce, in the beginning, it was only vegetables, and slowly it grew a little longer. And then he really managed to live free of medication for many years due to that process. But what was interesting for me was how much his mind changed, his personality, like many things changed. And I felt like, wow, it's so easy to just change. It's so easy to work with the level of behavior. You just change the way you eat, and things will change along the way. Like, it's inevitable. Like, you cannot change your diet and that nothing will happen on the level of your personality, mind. But when you say something, hey, we can actively change the way we think. For me, that's some very fascinating, because I find it like, wow, that's already an interior process that it's much harder to control, and to say, now I don't buy any more of these groceries, so I know I will have a different. My mind will change because I'm just, or I move from the city to the village. I can do it in one day, and then oops, I'm in a new environment. So how do you actually do that? How do you change the way you think? Do you think that it's as accessible as taking a radical decision of changing your diet, or is it something that, like meditation, really requires a practice? And I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, it's a practice. It's a long practice. Sometimes it goes very slow, and sometimes you do something from different area which helps you to change something like this. So it is. It depends on concrete situation or on concrete day. Yeah. But it's a long process. Yeah.
could you share a little bit, like from you, like something that kind of will intrigue me and the listeners to feel this potential of because this is something I find with myself. Maybe that's a point of struggle in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really analytical, and I can really get stuck on certain things, and it's hard for me to. It's almost feel like, you press the gas and you don't let go on a certain mental engine. And I would be very curious. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's too difficult to explain it, but if I want to give you the possibility to try, maybe we do get
Yeah.
get
Well,
there.
to change ourselves completely is not possible, and it wouldn't be good. Yeah, why we should change our character completely? Yeah, it's like the basic line of our character should be there. Only thing we should change is the part of ourselves which are going too much from the flow. Yes, like for example, emotions. Years ago, I was very emotional, and I could feel one emotion for 1 week, and I could really let the emotion grow to elephant size. Yes. And I felt myself like this is my nature. Yeah, I am emotional like this. But this kind of big emotions also almost killed me many times. Yeah, so I am emotional person, but now after maybe 20 years, I can the growing the emotion to the elephant size. I can see the process that the emotion would like to grow to the elephant size, and thanks to the like conscious observation of this tendency, I can stop it. Yeah, I am still able to feel the emotion. Yes, because I am not a stone. I have a normal emotion life, but I know now how to have it under control. Yeah, the distractive process. So this I mean is the changing of thinking, that before I was open to make it to the elephant size, and then it took me long time to go back again to normal emotional state. And now, after these experiences, which were really destructive, I know that it's up to me if it grows or not. Yeah. So it's really my decision, which has the root in my consciousness, in my awareness of the situation. So I should be aware. I should observe the tendency. I should be aware of the tendency, and then I can regulate it. Yeah. So I think the awareness of what we do, I will be always like this, but the awareness of my behaviors, of my tendencies, can help me to regulate them. Do you understand?
Yes, I follow you. I can imagine that there are also like certain environmental factors that are important. I don't know, like I notice with myself, and I guess many people, like when I'm surrounded with there is a relation between my emotional stability and, let's say, the size and amount of people I'm surrounded with. If it's too little, I'm going into more negative places. If there's too much people also, but if there is like really the proper amount of people, I feel like it really helps me to be more regulated, despite me actively confronting the interior, but just like, okay, that's a good setup for me. And for my wife, it's not exactly like me. So then it's like we have a bit of differences in those needs. So then she needs a little bit more. She's more extroverted. She needs a bit more people around. So there's like a there's like a tension
always
there.
Depends on the personality. Yeah. We cannot be the same.
And let's move to another area that is also, I think, many people are interested in, and there's a lot of discussions, and that's a bit of nutrition. So what are the principles that guides you? And that's something I already start. I've already taken a lot from reading the book, but I want also to, of course, many of the listeners probably didn't read the book, so to give some intro to that.
Well, in the book, my main one of the main concept was to follow the change of the energy during the year. The spring has completely different energy compared with summer, autumn, winter. Every season is different and has different demands. And also our body has different demands during each particular year season. So, like for example, in the spring, the energy of the year is very excited that it's like new beginning, and everything from the ground which was resting for the whole winter is now rising up, and we see a lot of sprouts and life and birds.
Explosive energy.
Yes, explosive energy. And it is natural. Then we also eat this kind of explosive energy in the food, like for example, sprouts or green things, or a bit sour things. Yes, which will then gradually help the organs which are related to spring, which is liver and gallbladder. And eventually, these organs will help our tendons and ligaments. And eventually, this will help to our elasticity. So the book is about how we can use the natural energy of a year season for our better physical feeling through exercises, but also through food. So for each year season in the book, there are some possibilities what people can cook, which is good to eat that year season, which is maybe too heavy or counterproductive. So each body tissue, like for example, bones, muscles have other possibilities, different possibilities. So of course, the best is if our diet is regular and is very rich. But in the book, I am specified on these seasons because it can be like a medicine. So the diet can be medicine for prevention, but also for some like concrete health issues.
It's interesting because I've just finished this area. I think a week ago in the book, and what I found interesting is that first of all, it really shifts the perspective away from like what are the nutritional value, and to look at something that is completely else, that syncs you a little bit with the environment. And I have the feeling that, and that's a bit of a tension, because I do hear in what you're saying that there are certain things that we want to be the agent. Okay, I want to be the agent of my own thoughts. So it's kind of very individualistic perspective. I can take the responsibility. But on the other hand, I do feel that, we are also what we talked about consciousness. We are part of this larger web of life, and I'm just a part of this. I'm more kind of a collectivistic perspective that it's not so much about me. And I feel that one thing that I hear is this kind of like a certain synchronization with natural rhythms, natural, like, okay, being connected to the world. And I think that one of the main issues with that, and maybe you would have some points as well to share with the audience, is that most of the people that are working in the field of dance and kind of body people, most people are living in cities, and most people are already have this disruptive environment that really reduces the ability to tap into the energy of the season. Like in Vienna, okay, it's colder now than in the summer, but Vienna is a great city. It's very connected to nature, but I've been in places that you just feel like, okay, beside temperature, you don't feel anything. And you're really surrounded with this architecture that is really mechanized. And then it's like, it's hard to make that step. Because I feel it's hard to feel like, yeah, I actually feel the difference when I eat this and not that, because we are so far from that. But it really inspired me to start thinking about it, and not to just think, yeah, I'm a vegan or I'm a carnivore, or like not to just think about what am I eating, but also the timing.
Yes.
And
yes.
And that's somehow also connected to what my father was doing, because in his approach, they were always concerned not so much with the food, but with the like, what do you eat before what, and why is it important? And I wonder, like, so how do you? I mean, it's many questions at a time, but like, how do you feel like that's somebody who lives in an environment that doesn't make them really feel the season like poetically and beautifully, like in the countryside, can already enjoy and be inspired? Because I guess that, when you live in a countryside and you have a garden, we have a little roof garden. So, summer comes, we have a few prunes and we have some green vegetables. Winter, we have nothing. But when you live in the countryside, it's really vivid. Okay, now these things are growing. Now the leaves are falling. It's very clear. So how do you also extract this principle in an environment that doesn't encourage you to feel the nature that way?
Well, I start step by step.
Sorry. A lot of questions.
Yeah. Talking about health from a Taoistic point of view is one of the most important thing is being connected with the nature. We are not connected with the nature, we cannot be healthy. But it doesn't mean that we really should leave the city and move to the countryside forever. Yeah, but we should organize our life for at least trips or retreats, like 4-5 days retreats every year season, to go somewhere where the year season is really, really visible. Yeah. So we should organize our life to leave the city from time to time and to go to the nature and to spend it. Of course, it's just a very small step, but it's important because, as you said, you feel now it's colder than in the summer, but otherwise you don't feel anything else. Yeah, any other change. And it's true. I live partly in Bratislava, in the city, and in the mountains. Yeah, and for me, always it's in the city. It's always hard to be connected to the natural development. Yeah, in the city. For me, myself, and I used to be in the mountains. In the city, it's really difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost feel that in the city, you are just trying to counter nature. So in winter, it's just about being in a place that is warm enough so you don't feel cold. And in the summer, it's like you just try to avoid the heat. Yeah. Which is like, because we don't spend so much time outdoor and
Yeah. So it's up to us to manage our time, our work, to have some free time to go there. There are many centers out of cities where you can be. for a few days and really spend the beauty of the specific year season. Otherwise, we will be really not connected to the nature and to the health. And that is why I wrote this book, because I know just reading this is not enough, but I try to write the specifics of every year season in my book, that the readers can read what is happening in the nature. Right now, like in the spring, what is happening in the nature? They can read it in the book, and maybe they will go there because they want to. They want to experience it. I was writing this book in the mountains. So I was really in the inside of the transformation and of the energy. So it was very easy for me to write it. And the essence of each year season is in the book, and maybe we'll open the readers the need to go out from the city for a few days and really spend it.
It definitely made that impact on me just by reading this in the poetic way you're describing it in the book, that it creates this maybe not craving, but inspiration and curiosity to reconnect with something that I definitely started to feel it in the last 2 years, that being in the city is creates a certain takes something from me. And I think that it's almost like overexposure to humans and culture, and underexposure to nature, natural processes.
Yes.
Because culture evolves in a different way than the natural world. There is a different cycle, and it's definitely something I helped me already just by reading it, and the next step I think would be to start applying some of these processes. So maybe if you say like, okay, somebody didn't read the book, but they're listening to this podcast, and you want to inspire them, like, okay, something to start with that would be accessible on any level. It could be on the way you sleep, the way you eat. What would you say like a good starting point for somebody who, working with the body, feels okay, my health is not optimal, and I want to start addressing it, and what would be the Taoist, from your Taoist perspective, kind of a good advice for somebody to begin with?
So maybe just to stop for a while and ask yourself what makes you happy and what makes you unhappy in your work, in your life. What works for you, like for example, food-wise or work-wise, what works for you and what works not. So you can really write it down, and then you will see, okay, well, for example, I earn a lot of money, but I don't have time for my family and even not for myself. Is this good? Is this okay? So when you know the platform you live in, then you can see it's a good, or you can realize this should be changed. So first of all, you should know what you need. If you should realize what can be changed. Maybe you realize nothing should be changed. I feel okay. Then it's okay. You don't have to change anything. Maybe in 1 year later, you will feel like, okay, should be changed something. But the first step is to do self-introspection. And to find the topics, or find the you know what I mean.
To kind of map it.
When you just say, just let's do something, let's change something, and you don't know what, then it is very chaotic.
You know, I really resonate with it because that's something that I think like, I'm a more introverted type, so I always go into and to ask to answer. And again, my wife has the really opposite tendency, so like she goes and calls her mother. And it's beautiful to see the different strategies, but fundamentally it's like going in the same ace, like okay, like checking in like in different methods what needs to be addressed. Zuna, I want to thank you. I mean, to be honest, there is so many things I want to continue talking, but we are already almost an hour and a half, so it means that maybe I should take the time to invite you again to the podcast. And maybe before we leave, maybe you want one thing that I want to say is that the publisher of your beautiful book was kind enough also to offer a discount code. So we will share with all of you, the audience, that if you're curious, and I can really recommend, beside the fact that there is a lot of valuable information, it's also just very beautifully made, the book itself. So I can really recommend getting it. So we will share it with the audience, the coupon code, if people wants to order the book and benefit from the beautiful information and all your years of knowledge. But if there's anything else you want to share with the audience, if people are curious about your work, how they can connect, or like if there is other things you offer publicly, it's like maybe you can take the space to share those things.
Yes. So now I am not so much working in the dance world, but I am focused on the teaching the Qigong because it's body work, and for me it's still a kind of dance. So we, with my husband, we teach Qigong series in Slovakia, and if somebody would like to invite me or us to teach, it would be nice. Before I wrote this book, I was doing quite a long research by doing series of workshops where I was focusing. It was like five times a year, like whole year study, and every year season we were focused on special body tissues and diet, and each session was about the specific element. Yeah, we are talking about 5 elements. So I am also able to do this kind of whole year series wherever to help people to understand the information which are in the book. Yeah, but now, because of so many years of writing, I am quite disconnected with as I was telling in the beginning of our discussion. I am disconnected from the schools and from the groups.
Yeah.
So I would need maybe somebody who could organize this. Yeah.
I mean, I would say that my podcast, but definitely there are many dancers who listen. But I think because I've been working a bit more multidisciplinary, so I think there are different people who are following this podcast, that not all of them are just coming from the professional dance field. And what I can just add on top of it, that if anybody out there is curious about anything that Zuna is sharing, I can wholeheartedly recommend her as a teacher, because again, like from all the teachers that I've had in SID, you are the most inspiring, and very, like, from the clarity of the pedagogy to the human level and the respect and everything that comes along with teaching. And I'm a super critical person, so I encourage you to take the opportunity and connect. We will leave the information how to contact you and how to reach you. So I encourage people to make that step and to expand on that. So Zuna, thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed being here, and
yes.
Until the next time.
If you want to see more precious and insightful moments, make sure to check our short clips playlist. To see longer interviews, check out the full episode playlist just below it. And to be notified for all future videos, click the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification bell. See you on the next episode.